Welcome to Movie Man with Greg and Mr. B. I'm your host, Greg. Sitting across from me is
Mr. B.
And how you doing today, Mr. B?
I'm fantastic, just like every week, my friend. What about you?
I'm pretty good this week. I've had a very hard week, but you know what? It's okay because my family's okay.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is my son was playing around and hit the wall with something, and the vibration of him hitting the wall made a clock fall off of the wall and smash over his head with glass everywhere, and he had to go to the ER and get stitches.
And I'm not going to pretend to be surprised because you already told me about this when it happened, and I told you how shocked I was, and I'm so glad that he's okay.
He's okay. He's a champ. So that's kind of how my week was.
My week, I'll talk since you just said something about yours.
Yeah.
Mine was uneventful, honestly. My YouTube channel has been doing good, and that's pretty much it.
All right, so are you ready to get into the movie of the week?
Absolutely.
We saw Arrival over the week, and that came out on Friday. It came out like a late showing of Thursday.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but we ended up seeing it with our wives and fiancés on Friday.
Yes.
And what we had told you guys last week that we're going to do for anyone who hasn't seen it yet but wants to hear somewhat of a review before they go and see it, we're going to do a little short summary of what we liked, about it, how we felt about it, a little bit of the summary, and then no spoilers. And then we're going to give you about 10 seconds to, as fast as you can, turn off the podcast so that there's no spoilers that ruin your experience. So, Mr. B, are you ready to take this away?
Yes.
All right. So we did Arrival. So what'd you think of this movie?
I liked it. It was pretty good. It was a very interesting concept. Very great I wouldn't say very great acting. I would say good acting.
Yeah. It was believable acting.
Yeah.
It's not the best acting I've seen, but it's pretty good acting.
I think the biggest thing I can say is that it was a unique idea. Yeah. I haven't seen another movie that's other than I'd say the one movie that comes to mind is Contact. What about you? What did you think about it?
With Jodie Foster?
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of that because the whole movie is about communication and trying to communicate. Anyways, this is the non-spoiler section, so I'm just going to give a quick plot summary of what this movie is about. No spoilers, remember.
So the plot of this movie goes like this. When mysterious spacecrafts touch down across the globe, an elite team led by expert linguist Louise Banks is brought together to investigate. As mankind teeters on the verge of global war, Banks and the team race against time for answers, and to find them, she will take a chance that could threaten her life and quite possibly humanity.
That's an awesome plot. It sounds just as cool.
It sounds epic.
It sounds just as cool as the trailers made it look, right?
Yep.
But
it's just
it just wasn't
what I thought it would be.
It wasn't the movie that we thought it was going to be. And we went and saw this together. So we both went in with the mindset like this is going to be so crazy and this is going to be this and that, and it was just a different type of movie. Yeah. And we'll get more into detail in the spoiler section. But for right now, we're just going to give a light opinion about what we think of this movie. So I thought it was a good movie. I'm definitely going to watch it again when it comes on, or when I rent it or something, because
I might Redbox it.
I'll probably Redbox it or something just to kind of wrap my mind about what I saw, because it was kind of a thinker.
Yeah.
It
was without giving the movie away at all, which is difficult to do. I can't really
explain too much, huh?
Yeah, I can't really elaborate on how I really felt about it until we get into the spoiler section. But I can say that the scenes were really well done. The acting was good. And it's just, It was a well-made movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely was. So I'd say anybody who's saying, Greg and Mr. B, should we go see Arrival in the theaters? I would say you don't have to see it in the theaters.
Yeah.
It's not one of those movies.
Definitely, if you have the option to see it in IMAX or something, definitely don't do that. It's not,
save your money.
It's not Avatar. It's nothing extravagant. You're not going to... Yeah, just don't do that. Trust us.
Save some money, wait for it to come on Blu-ray or whatever, rent it from Redbox, sit down and watch it, and my advice, and I'm sure Mr. B agrees, our advice to you is go into it not knowing what you're going to expect. Because don't go in there thinking it's going to be one movie, and it's not. You'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
So go in there with an open mind.
Exactly. Guaranteed. If you go in there and think it's going to be a certain way, you are wrong. Guaranteed. You're not going to be able to predict exactly what this movie is. There's no way.
No way. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the movie. This is where we're going to cut into our spoiler section. I hope when you guys go to see it, you enjoy it, and you come back and you listen to the spoiler section, or you just listen to it right now and be spoiled, and it's a loss for you, but at least you listened.
And I do want to stress, though, that a lot of people like this movie a lot. I've read lots of reviews. It has like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. People really, really like this movie.
It does.
So don't think that it's not a big deal for it to be spoiled to you right now. It is, because you'll possibly really, really enjoy the movie, and you don't want. It does have a twist, and we don't want to spoil it for you because most people do like it. So again, this is the spoiler section coming up. So turn it off.
We're giving you 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
All right, you want to count it down with me? 10,
9,
8,
7,
6,
5,
4,
3,
10, 9,
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
1.
All right, this is the spoiler section. We're going to totally get into the meat and potatoes of this movie and tell you guys what we really thought of it.
And from here on out, it's basically like our normal podcast.
Right.
So this movie is Arrival. It came out just a week ago, so 2016. The director is Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve?
I'm gonna say like Villeneuve.
I think my best guess is Villeneuve. But who the hell knows? And Dennis,
my wife would know. She's
Dennis.
Mexican.
I know that this podcast is extremely popular, and we have thousands and thousands of downloads and subscribers.
And we basically pay your check, dude.
So Dennis, if you're listening, which I know you are, man, we really apologize for slaughtering your last name there.
Lo siento.
But dude, you should have thought twice before having a last name that's difficult to pronounce. But anyway.
So this movie is directed by Denis Villeneuve, however you take that last name. Villeneuve. He also is known for doing Prisoners, which came out in 2013.
Fantastic movie.
And Sicario from 2015 from last year.
I didn't see Sicario, did you?
Me either, but I've heard really good things about it.
Is Sicario the one starring, what's her name? She's one of my favorite actresses right now. Emily Blunt?
I'm not going to say yes or no. I really don't know much about it. I've just heard really good things about it.
I think Emily Blunt is in Sicario. I'm not positive, though, and I apologize if I'm wrong on that.
It's okay.
The movie is written by Eric Heiserer. Come on, you guys. Have some normal names. Heiserer. Whatever. And he's known for the new Nightmare on Elm Street that came out 6 years ago in 2010. I actually saw it. I thought it was decent.
I didn't like it.
It's extremely dark.
We saw it together.
We did?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I don't remember.
That's how bad it was.
Oh, dude, he was also the writer of Final Destination 5, and that movie was good. I really liked that.
2011.
Yeah, really, really good story for that.
Let me say the last one.
Please do.
Lights Out, 2016.
Did you see it?
One of my personal favorite scary movies I've ever seen.
Yes, honestly, I'd say other than
Did you see it?
Yes.
You finally saw it?
I saw it very recently, like a couple weeks ago.
What did you think?
I saw it. It was my daughter's birthday. And I got off work early, and I surprised her at home. And I said, hey, we're going to go down to the local store where they sell used DVDs and Blu-rays, and you're going to pick out a bunch of stuff for your birthday. And she was so happy to do that. She loves movies. She loves scary movies, which I love. And so we were there, and she was looking at Lights Out. And it's a brand new movie, so that they didn't have it used. They only had it brand new. And I didn't really care the cost of anything, so she picked out a bunch of stuff, and one of them was Lights Out. And so that night, when my fiance got home, we sat down, turned off all the lights in the house, and we watched it. And dude, it was creepy, man. Like, oh, we've got to do Lights Out soon.
I wish we just didn't do all those horror movies. So I'm not in the mood to do horror.
We'll save it for a few episodes away. But yeah, it was a fantastic movie. I really liked it.
Man, I could really do like a whole
podcast.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's just do Lights Out. I'm just kidding.
No, we will do it soon. We're going to share the next one that we're going to do at the end of the episode.
For sure. This movie stars Amy Adams as Dr. Louise Banks.
Yes, one of my favorites. I love Amy Adams. Something interesting I'd like to share about her just really quickly.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember her when she was not an A-lister like she is now. Do you remember that show Smallville with Tom Welling?
Yeah.
About Superman?
Yeah.
She was one of the one-episode villains in one of that show.
She was a villain?
Yeah. She was the girl in the first season, if I'm not mistaken. She is bulimic, and she gets these crazy, like, weird powers by being bulimic. It's really weird.
Don't try that at home.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of contrary because she is a bad guy in the Superman Smallville show, but she's Lois Lane in the Man of Steel movie.
That is true. I never put that together. That's interesting.
Yeah, because I was wondering as I was watching this movie, I was wondering, like, who is she? She looks so familiar. What is she from?
Yeah.
And she's from Superman.
Yeah. I've seen her in multiple different movies.
Yeah.
I've been following her as an actress for years now, actually. She's honestly in my top 5 favorite actresses ever. I really like her.
So, speaking of Superman and superheroes, the next person in this movie is Jeremy Renner.
Yes.
He plays Ian Donnelly. Is he a doctor?
No, he's a scientist.
He's just a scientist,
in
right?
this movie, yes.
Okay. Who else stars in this movie?
Forrest Whitaker. He's a veteran actor. He's extremely, extremely good in this movie, and in my opinion, every movie he's ever been in. He plays Colonel Weber, and he was, as you'd expect, extremely good.
Right. He was very good. He had a weird accent, though, in the movie. I mean, it didn't bother me.
That's because he's an amazing actor.
Yeah, what was it, though?
I don't know. I don't think it ever actually says what he is, like what his...
It doesn't go that deep. He barely gets any time, honestly. This movie's mainly about Amy Adams.
Yeah.
But speaking of what this movie is about, I'm going to say the plot again, but kind of in our own words. Basically what happens is the movie starts off with this weird flashback scene of the life of Amy Adams' character's daughter. From birth to she gets cancer.
Yeah.
And she dies. She's like
10 years. Yeah, 10
I
years.
thought she was like a teenager. Maybe 14 or so.
I could be wrong.
But anyways, it shows the baby from being a baby to getting cancer and then passing away. And it's a very emotional way to open up the movie, to be honest. And it
was a good opening. I really liked it. Yeah.
Very well acted, and very, like, if you don't know the characters and you already get emotional from like just the first scene.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, it's very good.
It totally did that. Yeah,
it was really
successful.
good storytelling. I like that.
This movie is actually based on a short story called The Story of Your Life, written by Ted Chiang in 1998.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that Greg actually figured out about the movie, and he allowed me to share it. That's pretty interesting. I would be interested in reading the short story and seeing how it differs from... how could they turn a short story... How could they have a short story like this? That's just interesting to me.
I don't know. It's probably just about meeting aliens, and then that's the end of the thing. But anyway, so it just starts off showing that Amy Adams' character loses a child, and so it's kind of sad in the beginning, and you find out she's like a teacher because she's like a doctor.
Yeah.
And some weird stuff is going on, and there's 12 alien spaceships we find out that have landed in different spots of the world. And basically what the movie is like the trailer said, why are they here? We need to learn how to communicate with them to find out what their purpose is for being here on Earth. Are you ready to like kind of spoil the end of the movie?
I'm ready, yes.
Okay, basically what happens is the aliens end up getting in contact with the humans. They learn each other's language, and the aliens, what they do is they basically tell the humans in their language that they're offering a weapon. It says offer weapon. That's the word that they use.
Yeah.
And so as Americans and as people from Earth know the word weapon, we associate that with guns, with bombs, with missiles, And what they're saying, the aliens, is that your weapon is your brain. It's your mind.
Right.
That's what they're saying. And so Amy Adams figures that out and stuff. And some crazy stuff goes on. It's actually one of my top 5 scenes, so I'll get more into it towards the end. But basically, we get to communicate with them, and we figure out what their purpose was for being here. So are you ready to get into our top 5?
Yes, I am.
Top 5! I haven't done that in the last 2 episodes, but you know what? I kind of want to bring that back.
You dude, I like it. I really like it. It's a good touch.
Thanks, bud.
Would you mind if I start with my number 5?
You know what, Mr. B? Absolutely am okay with that.
Cool. My number 5 in the movie, the number 5 thing that I enjoyed about the film is that Amy Adams is in it.
Oh.
And she's one of my favorite actresses. I've already shared that. And every time she's in a movie, I want to see it. She's actually been so successful, in my opinion, to where she has that effect on me. Every movie that she's been in so far, I think I've enjoyed. And she's a fantastic actress. And honestly, she carried this movie for me. If it was another actress, I wouldn't have liked it as much as I do.
Right.
You know?
No, I agree with that, because it's basically, what you're saying is she carried the movie, but to be honest, she's like the main character, so of course she needs to carry it. But what you're saying is, if it was a different actress or actor, whatever, who didn't act as well and played the part as good as her, it might not have carried you throughout the movie. It might have lost interest.
The movie wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah, so I agree.
Even with the same story and same other co-stars,
yeah,
she made a big difference.
Yeah, this movie needed her, and I think we both agree that she was really good in this movie.
What is your number 5?
My number 5 is actually the twist at the end of the movie.
Huge spoilers ahead.
This is probably the biggest spoiler right now of the movie, to be honest, and I'm going to get into it. My number 5 is the twist at the end. So what happens, like I said, is that the movie opens up with Amy Adams' character, and she has a newborn baby. She just gives birth to a newborn baby. And then you see the baby go through life, go from this age to this age, and you see the relationship, and it's really good. And then the daughter turns into like a, maybe from 10 to 14. I wasn't really clear what age she is. And she's like, I hate you, to the mom and stuff, just to kind of show how time has passed and everything and how they change. But then you find out that the daughter got cancer and passed away, and the mom is very heartbroken. And that's the intro of the scene of the movie, like we said.
Yeah.
And then it starts off, and then from the next scene on, it's her looking depressed and going into work and this and that and stuff. And you're like, oh, okay. So what happened was she had a baby.
Yeah.
It grew up and got cancer and passed away. And so that's her character backstory.
Right.
That's what you think.
Yep.
And then as the movie is going on, it kind of keeps cutting back to different parts of when she had a daughter. And you think, because it's kind of like an emotional, mental moment of the movie, you're like, oh, whatever's going on with these aliens or in the life that she's dealing with right now, it keeps reminding her of something. And she keeps going back and having flashbacks throughout the movie of this daughter that she had. The reason my number 5 says the twist is because at the end of the movie, the aliens and her end up really being able to communicate well with each other, and the aliens have powers and were able to make Amy Adams see into the future. And this is where the sci-fi part of it comes in. She's able to see into the future. Come to find out, she never had a baby. What happens is the guy, Jeremy Renner's character, who she's working with, they end up, because of this mission that they're working on, they end up coming close together and getting together and making a baby, which happens to be the baby from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And Amy Adams gets to see how the whole life of that baby will pan out. And that's the twist of the movie, because the whole time you're thinking that this had already happened to her.
Yeah.
But it really hasn't happened, and she can see into the future.
Right.
That's the twist. And so let's get into detail on that.
Yeah.
You go first, man.
I can't give too much detail on that without telling you how I feel, and I kind of want to save most of that for when we give our rating for the movie. But I have to give it credit. It's a very good it's a good twist. It's unique. I don't think I can't think of a twist that was similar that I've ever seen before.
No, not like that.
Yeah, it was a very intelligent written twist, but at the same time, anticlimactic, in my opinion.
The whole movie was anticlimactic, except for one part, which is like my number 2, I think. So
yeah,
I'll get into that.
Okay.
But I want to share real quick on how I felt about the twist. And it, like Mr. B, exactly like you're saying, it was very thought out.
Yeah.
And it's a very good twist, to be honest.
Deep.
It's very deep and emotional twist involving like family and pain and love, So I think it would hit home to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the problem is throughout the movie, because they're doing so many like flashbacks, and the beginning of the movie opened with the life of her child. When it happened, it was kind of like confusing in a way.
Yeah.
And
that's an understatement in my opinion.
The whole movie kind of, the minute you find out about the twist, it changes the whole movie.
Yeah.
And now you start back from the very beginning of the movie, and you're like, oh, well, if that was the future and that never happened, well, then we really started the movie from where she was going to work, and she started off in her house and then went to work, where you find out about the pods and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's where it really started, and then all this never happened. oh, and then the dad is Jeremy Renner. Oh, and they have the baby, so
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's cool. But at first, you're just like, huh?
Yeah.
What happened?
The whole movie, yeah. Oh, man. This movie is difficult to talk about and review, honestly. It really is. And when you see it, you're going to totally understand what we're talking about. I'm going to go ahead and drop one F-bomb in this episode. This movie's a mindfuck, honestly.
Good choice of F-bomb.
Don't you think?
Yeah, insert well. Good job.
Yeah. That twist is not even close to what I thought the end of this movie would be.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that, though, What's your number 4?
My number 4
Yeah.
is probably the sound effects of the aliens.
Wow, yeah.
I
did skip my mind when I was making my list.
When not just the sound. You know what? I want to kind of alter it and make it not just the sound effects, but the sound effects and the visuals of the aliens themselves.
That's my number 4.
And no matter what, I'm gonna leave this to be a surprise for you. I don't want to give away. I'm not even going to describe what the aliens look like because it won't do any good overhearing it in a podcast anyways. It just won't do it justice. You're just going to have to see the movie to see what they look like, but they look cool, okay? I've seen like multiple trailers of the movie and it doesn't show them in the trailer. It shows like their language, like their sign that they throw up on the glass wall
It's like
or
a
whatever.
circle.
Yeah, which totally reminded me of the movie Signs for some reason. I don't know.
I just watched that with my wife the other day.
The look of the aliens in this movie, you do a couple times get to see them up close, and they look very unique. There's no way in hell you're gonna predict what these aliens look like. They look cool. They look honestly scary, in my opinion. And the sound effects that they make are very cool. And there's not really much more I can say about that other than that. And just it was very creative, whoever worked on all of that. So what is your number 4?
My number 4 is also the visuals, but mine is for a different reason.
Okay.
I like the visuals because there's this first shot where you see the pod or whatever we call it come down into Montana. That's where our movie takes place.
Right.
Like I said, they come down in 12 different parts of the earth, but our movie takes place in Montana.
That's where Amy Adams is.
That's where Amy Adams is, the main character. So the pod comes down and it's hovering above the earth just a little bit, and you see a mountain next to it, and there's fog like rolling in over the mountain, and just the way it's, the CGI is just really, really nice on it and stuff. There's also this part where in order to get up to communicate with the aliens, you need to like go up into the spaceship for a little while and then kind of jump, and then like gravity stops like halfway into the spaceship.
Yeah,
and it sucks you into the middle.
That was cool.
That was very visually cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And if you don't mind, if I elaborate on what you're talking about, I totally agree. And I just want to say one quick thing about what you just said. When they jump up off the, it's like a scissor lift. That if you've ever seen one of those in like a construction site, it's one of those lifts that you stand on. It's got a big platform with rails around it, and it lifts up like scissors up in the air,
like a car jack.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It jacks you up in the air.
Exactly, like a car jack. And they're standing on that, and it lifts them up into the middle of this thing. And they jump up, and Greg just described it, but the visual of this was very cool and
it's hard
unique.
To explain.
Yeah.
It's just cool looking.
In a weird way, you can't really say it's realistic because aliens have never landed on the planet before. But it almost seems like that if they did, this would be realistic in the way that you would go into their pod, don't you think?
Yeah, like it'd be it wouldn't be like some little beep 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 button on the side of the wall that you just kind of like a big rail comes down and you just walk into it. Like I don't think so.
This seemed totally realistic. If this happened in real life, all of it was very realistic. The visuals I'm talking about. And
so the visuals looked really good. I thought it was done nicely, very nicely. And when the aliens are trying to communicate with the humans, it kind of reminds me of a squid, how a squid kind of shoots out ink.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that. It like shot out ink from its like hand or something, and it like creates like this circle with a different pattern.
It looked freaking awesome.
It was
honestly.
cool. Very good CGI.
Yeah.
I liked it. So yeah, that's my number 4. So what do you want to get into about your number 3?
My number 3, I want to elaborate more on the sounds. My number 4 was the sounds of the aliens themselves. But I remember when the movie began, after it shows all the beginning opening scenes with Amy Adams, so you can kind of get to know her character. when you first see the pod, the music, the sound, it's just eerie and realistic. Not realistic, scratch that, but just eerie, and it just sounded good, and it was just, the sounds of the movie were fantastic. I can't say anything negative about the sounds that I heard in the whole movie.
It probably would have sounded better on IMAX.
Yes. However, I would have still, when I give my rating of the movie, I'll elaborate more on this. There's no way I would have been all right with paying the extra money to see this in IMAX.
Definitely.
So, what's your number 3?
My number 3, I wrote the intensity in the beginning. I'm a huge sucker for intense beginnings when it comes to movies like 2012, The Day After Tomorrow, and like this movie. Mm-hmm. And even that movie with Tommy Lee Jones, Volcano. I love like beginning scenes that have intensity where it's like everybody, like in this movie, what happens after the whole montage of the baby growing up and getting cancer and stuff. Like I said, it shows her going into work, and she works in like a university or something.
She's like a professor.
She's like a professor.
Yeah.
And there's these TVs set up, and all of the students and stuff are like gathered around the TVs, and she doesn't know what's going on. And it kind of has this like deep music, like these deep tones.
Yeah.
And she kind of is just walking by like, I need to go to work. But everybody else is like surrounded about this TV. And then she gets into class, and there's like 3 students out of probably, I would assume, like 50.
Yeah.
You know, there's like 3 of them sitting there, and she's like, where is everybody? And they're like, I don't know, not here. And she goes, okay, well, we'll teach anyways. And so she starts teaching them, and then one of the kids' phones starts ringing, and then like another phone rings, and now everybody's cell phones are starting to go.
I totally know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's building this intensity, like, because it doesn't show you like the pod for a while, but you know something's touched down on Earth, and they're talking about it, but you just can't visually see it until they actually drive out to it.
Yep.
Which is, I thought, pretty creative, because it keeps your mind like wondering. It doesn't just show you blah right in your face.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's building up the suspense. I want to see it,
yeah.
You know? And so I thought the intensity in the beginning was very, very good, and it got me in the mood to see these freaking spaceships.
Yeah.
For real. It got me in the mood. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, man, what do they look like? You know? And then when you finally see it, you're like, oh, it kind of looks like Eva from WALL-E.
It totally does, huh?
Her outline, yeah.
Eva. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share... I'm going to go ahead and share my... What am I on, number 2?
Yeah, you're number 2.
All right, my number 2. My number 2 is quite easily the realistic factor of the entire movie. All of it seems like, I'm not exaggerating, there was not one moment in the movie where I thought to myself, this is... It seems a little Independence Day-ish, you know what I mean? This was the most realistic alien
approach.
Yeah,
right? Alien movie.
Yeah, exactly. The most realistic approach to an alien species coming to this planet movie I've ever seen. And I've seen quite a few of them. And this one was the most realistic, and that's very refreshing to see. The beginning that Greg was just talking about, all the sounds when they go into the spaceship, the aliens themselves, the way they communicate, the end of the movie, all of it just seemed very realistic, to where if you could just really imagine, like, what the hell would really happen? What would really happen if aliens landed on our planet? This is what I imagine would be the closest to what would actually happen. Wouldn't you agree? No?
Yeah. I want to give like a good answer back to that. That's why I'm thinking about it. So You said, wouldn't that be like the most like realistic approach?
In my opinion, at least.
I would say with these type of aliens, yes, because these aliens were very peaceful.
Yeah.
They were very slow moving and wanted to communicate and relay messages. This is a very good approach to that. But I think if the aliens came down and were hostile, then I think Signs is probably the most realistic approach to that. How it would actually be if hostile aliens came down.
I totally 100% agree.
So I think the aliens changed my answer, but in this movie, totally. I really do think that this is what would happen if we had peaceful aliens that came down to learn.
That's a very good point. It does matter on whether the aliens are peaceful or if they're hostile. And in this movie, they're peaceful. And it's the most realistic if they were peaceful. Very good.
Thanks.
So what's your number 2?
My number 2 is the only exciting part of the movie, to be honest.
Yep.
This is when a bunch of the army soldiers who are kind of guarding the spaceship, somehow they get like this giant thing of dynamite. It's like a giant bomb that they made and strapped together, and they bring it up into the spaceship when nobody's paying attention, and they set a detonator on the bomb. Remember that part?
Yes.
And they kind of have it like tucked behind something, and Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner, they get skylifted or whatever into this alien pod to communicate once again with them. So Amy Adams is talking to the aliens and stuff, and as they're having this conversation, the bomb detonator is starting to it's clicking down like beep beep beep, and it's getting down to about like 5 seconds, and like it's very intense because as the audience, we know that this is about to blow up, but Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner don't know because they're not part of the audience, so they're just up there, and you're like, oh crap. First of all, we're trying to learn the language of these people. Second of all, we don't know what their intentions completely are yet. And third of all, if we release a bomb and try and like show that we're hostile or aggressive, what are they going to do to us?
Yes.
And so you're like, oh crap, whoever really planted that bomb, like, dude, you're going to end the world.
Yep.
Because of your stupidity. And so it's like 5, 4, 3. But the aliens know the bomb is there. And so like right before it hits 1, the aliens like lift their arms and like swoosh them at Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner. And like it just creates this force that like flings them back and out of the spaceship as fast as they can before the bomb blows up. So they're okay. They just get like little concussions, but they're okay. And from that point on, now the question arises like, okay, do we get ready to defend ourselves because they thought we just attacked them and now they're going to come back and retaliate against us? Mm-hmm. Or do we send you back up there and try to say like, I'm sorry, this was just a few people that did this. This is not us in an entirety. And
right.
The army is basically like, we need to freaking get ready. Like they're about to retaliate. I know it. And spoiler, but this is spoiler section. They don't retaliate.
Yeah.
And so this movie is extremely monotone almost the entire film. And this bomb scene, honestly, is like the only time you see fire in the movie. It's like the only time something like is loud and crazy and intense. And other than that, even the rest of the movie till the end, except for one slight scene towards the end where some guns are drawn, it's probably the most entertaining part.
Yeah.
Like action-wise.
Yeah, don't go in this expecting to see
Independence Day 3.
Yeah, it's not going to, no way.
No, it's
You're
not.
going to be very disappointed. And I want to go ahead and share my number 1.
Yeah.
My number 1 is the genre of the movie, which is a sci-fi. And the reason, I'm not just saying I liked it because it's a sci-fi. I liked what kind of sci-fi it was. It was a sci-fi that takes place here on Earth that wasn't, this is kind of difficult to put into words and explain. It was a sci-fi movie that doesn't seem too sci-fi. It's really difficult to explain. But I just really appreciated the way that it kind of, the mixture of sci-fi aspect to realism. I can't really explain it other than that. I knew that it was going to be a sci-fi, obviously. And I liked how I was able to connect with many of the characters and the lifestyle and the being on Earth. And again, that kind of goes back to my number 2, I guess, in a way, just of how realistic it was. I love sci-fi movies, and this was a unique sci-fi that just kind of barely touched on the sci-fi. And it was just not too much, not too crazy.
It wasn't too in your face like aliens.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just, I guess,
laser beams.
The best way to put it is realistic sci-fi.
Yeah, I totally can see how that's your number 1.
Yeah.
Because I agree with that. I'm not a sci-fi fan, and I hate to keep going back to it, but that's why Signs is one of my favorite scary movies, is because they're so minimal with showing you the aliens that it really, really builds the time that you get to see them, and it really scares you.
Yes.
Because you're like, whoa, like that's what we've been talking about the whole time, and there they are,
That movie was so good.
It was. I watched it with my wife like a day or 2 ago.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know why I said I didn't like it. She's like, maybe I wasn't paying attention the first time I watched it. She's like, that was pretty good.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I like it. But we've already talked about that.
Right. And so what is your number 1 on Arrival?
My number 1 is the message that the movie's trying to relay to the audience.
Very nice.
It's a very good message, and what it is finally Amy Adams communicates with these aliens, and they're able to figure out like what the designs are that the aliens are spreading and what they mean, and they're able to communicate with each other, which is really cool. I thought that was cool how they figured it out. But the problem is that we weren't sure why they were here. But come to find out why they were here is that once we were able to figure out what the aliens were saying, they were basically saying, like I said, like, use weapon. And like I said, the army was like, they want to use weapons on us. What do they mean? Like, do they want our weapons? Or do they want to hurt us? And they say something about weapon, or they're offering a weapon or something.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like, for a good 20 minutes or so, that's kind of like the theme of, well, what are they trying to say? What do they mean by that? The aliens are telling us that the weapon is our mind. And it's like what we can do as like a community of people on Earth as humans. It basically, each alien was asking to work together, because the reason why they wanted them to work together is because in 3,000 years, we were going to have to go help them. And so they wanted to bring the world together.
Right.
And that's the message of the movie, is that they wanted to bring the world together and put aside our differences. And I thought that was pretty good. And to be honest, given like the election that just went down the last week or two,
yes,
I thought that was pretty good timing to have a movie about like a message about, regardless of what's going on, we're all humans. We all need to stick together and do what's right by each other. That was my number one. I thought it was pretty intense. It was really heartfelt message. It was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked it. I liked the writing, so
it was good. It's always nice to see a movie when you walk out of the theater and you're thinking like, damn, you know, that made me think more than I thought. You know, it's like it was, you expected to just see like something else with this movie, and it made you think way more than you anticipated.
It really did.
Yeah.
Are you ready to get into our rating?
Yes, I am. Let's do it.
You go first, man. You sound way more excited and to
Yes.
beef this up.
Yes, I want to finally tell everybody what I ultimately thought of the movie. I give this movie, out of 5 stars, I give this movie 2.5. And I thought that it was average. And honestly, I think I'm being nice when I give it that. When I walked out of the theater, I wasn't pleased. You know, after thinking about it days after, I kind of came up with the reasons why I liked it, and I did like it, but the movie was not what I thought, and to be perfectly honest, I thought it was boring and very anticlimactic. There's no action in the movie. There's like one action scene, and it's seconds long. It barely even qualifies to be called an action scene. And that's not what I thought I would see when I went to go see this. I guess I could say that I was hoping that this movie would have more alien invasion type of stuff going on, and it didn't. It was just boring. That's the best way I can put it, honestly. In my opinion, I appreciate good writing. I appreciate good acting. I appreciate all of the good things about this movie, but it's just not what I thought and was wanting it to be. And for that, it's not a movie that I really can't wait for it to come out on Blu-ray. There's no way I'm ever going to pay money to own this movie. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Honestly, man, I don't think that I will ever even pay Redbox, the Redbox machine, to see it again. I might watch it again on Netflix late at night when I'm bored or something. You know what I mean? It was just...
I wouldn't pay Redbox because I hate Redbox.
Oh, really?
I can't stand it.
But, well, let me finish.
Sorry, dude.
It's all good.
I just have a lot to say about that stupid machine.
So my rating for this movie is 2.5 stars out of 5. It just wasn't what I thought that it would be. And that's the best thing I can say. So what is your rating and why?
I'm on board with you.
Yeah.
I agree, except I'm a little nicer. I give it a 3.5. And I know you...
Totally...
Yep.
That's being way too nice, in my opinion.
Right, but I'll tell you why. Because when I read the plot summary to you guys, and even summed it up, I said this: aliens come down and touch Earth, and we need to learn how to communicate with them to find out what they want here. And Dr. Louise Banks is going to risk her life to go see what these people want, and even possibly humanity. Are they hostile? Why are they here?
Right.
That is, to be honest, what the trailer said. That is what all the posters said.
I know.
That is how they put this movie out. Why are they here? Are they hostile? We need to figure this out. And it was not like that at all.
Yeah.
At all. Look, I don't want to sit here and like look two-faced like this whole time we've been doing this episode. We've just been like BSing you, because we're not. We actually found 5 things that we did enjoy about the movie.
Yes.
And it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't the movie we thought it would be. So we're not BSing you. This actually is how we actually feel about the movie. But we wanted to tell you what we did like about it. So
right.
Therefore,
I'm sorry. I don't mean to
You're
interrupt.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt. We
good.
we don't want to turn people off to seeing movies. We're not going to be those kind of guys.
Right.
We're always going to try to find things that we like, and that's easy to do. You know what I mean? We really love movies.
Yeah, and we want to be as positive as we can, because
Right.
I would rather listen to somebody more positive than negative.
Yes.
Personally. Yeah, so like I said, they put this movie out in the trailers like this is going to be some insane alien invasion movie, and we need to learn how to speak their language to find out if they're hostile, and what if it's too late and we don't figure it out in time, you know? And you're like, oh snap, this movie's going to be dope.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the legit truth of how you feel about it.
Yeah.
And that's why you were anticipating this movie. You made me anticipate it more than I already did because you were so excited. And we even took our, our wives and our fiancés.
Yep.
And we went there and we were like all excited and we got good seats and stuff. And it was like, oh, so good. And then the movie starts off really sad and you're like, okay, whatever. Like it's probably how this serious movie is going to be.
Yep.
And then it has the intensity where what's the thing that landed on the ground? It's the pods. Oh my gosh. And then you finally see it and you're like, whoa. And then you see the aliens and you're like, oh, dang. And they're like slow. So you're like, oh, at any moment something can be like, poof.
Yeah.
And like scary, But then it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It just, it doesn't ever pick up again until that bombing scene.
Yeah.
And it's so slow. Everybody, the 4 people that we were with, wives and you and me, we looked like we were headbanging at a concert because our heads kept bobbing out because we kept falling asleep.
Yeah, honestly, this movie was putting me to sleep. I did work the day on Friday. I worked that day, but
I didn't.
That's really not a good excuse. If I'm being honest, when Interstellar came out, I went to see that at 11:30 at night, and I worked that day as well.
And you were awake.
I was awake the whole movie, and that movie was almost 3 hours long. Not one moment of that movie was I falling asleep.
No.
And it depends on the movie to wake me up, and this movie did not wake me up, not at all.
It helped me go to sleep.
Yeah. It was, honestly, guys, it was boring. And I'm sure that some people are going to listen to this and be like, you guys are idiots. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's totally fine. But, I mean, we're not stupid. We know what makes a good movie. And we did tell you what we thought was good about the movie. But just, it was just not what we thought.
No.
It's just, anticlimactic.
But the reason I give it a 3.5 though, and you're like thinking I'm crazy for that, but to be honest, the reason I give it a 3.5 is because even though it wasn't the movie we thought it would be, if we would have taken our advice and went in there with an open mind, not expecting an alien invasion movie, we probably would have been like, wow, that was a really like deep movie, and that twist at the end was really good. That really got me thinking.
Yes, you're right. The trailer was misleading, man.
It was very misleading, and it's the trailer's fault. You know what I mean? And on top of that, Rotten Tomatoes apparently gave it 100%. I don't know if it's still there, but probably. Mm-hmm. So we went in there thinking, dude, this is going to be the best movie ever made. It's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And so we go in there, and then when it wasn't what we thought it was, and it wasn't the best movie we ever seen, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
This sucks. So... after I've had some time to think about it, though, my wife totally understood it, and she totally got it. She got the real meaning of the movie, and she explained it to me. And once that was explained to me, I was like, oh. Yeah. And then I started thinking more and more about the movie, and I'm like, you know what? I gave it a 3.5 because I didn't think it was that amazing, but I didn't think it was like horrible because without my expectations, I honestly would have thought it was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I can agree with that. If I can, you know what, especially if I've gone to the theater before to see a movie and knew nothing about it and really enjoyed it.
Right.
And I think that this movie would have been a good example of that. If I had never seen the trailer, knew nothing about it, and just went to see it, I think I would have liked it more. But I was so hyped to see something so different, and I didn't see a single thing that I wanted to see. You know what I mean?
I didn't want to see any of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't the movie I wanted. To be honest, it might sound dumb, I wanted Independence Day.
Yeah, I wanted more action, more... I mean, not necessarily aliens kill all of us, and you know what I mean?
Not War of the Worlds.
But just a little bit more hostility, a little bit more confrontation.
Like I said, the aliens were so peaceful.
Yeah.
They were so pacifist. They came down, and even after we tried to bomb them, they were like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's boring.
They were just like, we just want you guys to be able to be one. They were hippie aliens.
Yeah.
Let's just all be one. Let's just hang out and be one together in the universe. And then in 3,000 years, hey, someone's going to try and mess with
Yeah.
us. The Negan of the universe is going to try and bash one of our heads. And we're going to need you, Rick's group of the Earth.
You with the Walking Dead stuff, man.
Hey, last week was a good episode. Or last night. But
All right, so let's get in. Are you done with your rating? Do you want to get into our movie news?
I'm going to wrap up real quick in a 15-second explanation.
Okay.
Go into that movie with an open mind. Don't expect anything. Look at the movie for what it is. Don't make an honest opinion until about the next day after you've had some time to think about it. And then form your opinion.
Well, I mean, if you've listened to this spoiler section, you're definitely not going to go in thinking there's going to be a tons of action. There's not.
Right.
And I would recommend, exactly what Greg just said.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into our movie news. There wasn't really that much trivia for this movie, and you said it earlier on about how this was about the story of your life written by Ted Chiang. So let's just get straight into our movie news. What do you want to go first?
No, you go ahead and go first.
Okay. I'm just going to give the forewarning. I don't watch this show, so I know nothing about it. But the movie news that I have for this week is Marvel just announced that the show Inhumans, it's a TV series, it's coming to ABC next year, 2017. And what's cool about this, and this is the reason why I wanted to share it with you guys, is because this show is going to premiere in an IMAX theater. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I haven't really heard that before happening.
That's weird.
I know that movie theaters will sometimes host events like boxing or concerts or something to watch, but I've never heard of a series premiere. And it's a Marvel TV series, so I'd probably kind of be like getting to see like a Marvel movie in the theaters, but it's a TV show. So, would you be interested in like seeing that, checking that out?
Definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to risk the money on it, to be honest.
Yeah, see, that's a different question. Would I be willing to pay IMAX ticket to go see it? No. I can tell you right now, no.
What if it was playing at your local just theater?
Then I might see it matinee if I had the opportunity.
Remember, it might just be like an hour-long show.
Then there's no way that's worth it.
What if they charged you $5 to see an hour-long premiere?
If I had the time, yeah, sure.
$10?
No.
No. It's got to be that's almost the price of a full feature film.
That's a full movie. Yeah. I'm going to go see something else, But my movie news is something a little different. I want to just talk about a movie that I'm excited to see that comes out very soon, actually. And it's starring one of my favorite actresses, Natalie Portman. I'm sure.
Oh, she's been off the radar for a minute.
Yeah. She's starring in a movie that I'm very excited to see. It's called Jackie. And it's the life story, I presume,
of Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Kennedy.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So Jackie is going to be coming out on December 2nd, and it's
of this year?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
And it's following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy fights through grief and trauma to regain her faith, console her children, and define her husband's historic legacy. And, when I think of an actress to play Jackie Kennedy, I'm very familiar with the Kennedy family, especially JFK and Jackie. I really liked them. When I read about them and whatnot, I'm really fond of them in particular. And when I think of an actress to play Jackie, she's perfect. Natalie Portman. And if you go on the internet and look up the picture of her playing that character, she looks spot on. And I think that she's going to do a fantastic job because, in my opinion, she always does. If you're just like me and you're a fan of JFK and Jackie Kennedy, you might want to check that out because I definitely am going to.
Oh, that's good news.
Would you like to go ahead and share what our next movie is going to be? It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a movie that came out in 2008. So I was 18. How old were you?
2008. That was 8 years ago. I was 22.
So we were prime time for this movie. Step Brothers. Starring Will Ferrell as Brennan Huff and John C. Reilly as Dale Doback.
Dale Doback.
And it's just a hilarious movie about two 40-year-old almost single dudes who are very immature, and their parents get married, and so they become stepbrothers. And
I want to just forewarn you guys. The next episode, it's going to contain F words. It's going to contain lots of laughter. I'm going to be having a great time. This is my favorite comedy of all time. What about you? It's got to be your favorite also.
I'm not even going to save it for the rating next week. This is the funniest movie
I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's I'll save my rating for sure, but still, yes, funniest movie ever. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please tune in for this. There's going to be lots of laughter, I promise you.
Yeah, and if anybody hasn't seen Step Brothers.
What the hell's the matter with
Yeah,
you? Go get it right now.
If you haven't seen Step Brothers, you probably don't listen to a movie podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
or if you haven't seen it in a few years, catch up on it. It's really funny before you hear this episode.
Yes, and did I share in the my last movie news about Step Brothers 2, and that could be a possibility?
Yeah.
Yeah, Step Brothers 2 could be a possibility.
I really hope so.
That would be fantastic.
So you want to get into our contact information?
Absolutely. I want to let everybody know, once again, I have a YouTube channel. It's called Being Scared, where I narrate scary stories, both true and fiction. Please check it out and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. You can also find me on Twitter at BeingScared86, and you can email me at beingscared86@gmail.com. And you can look me up on Facebook and just type in the 2 words, Being Scared. That's the way that you can contact me. I look forward to hearing from you. Greg, how can we contact you, man?
You can email me on my Yahoo account, moviemen@yahoo.com, and that's 1 word. You can also find me on Twitter at moviemen_. You can find me on Instagram, same thing, moviemen_. I probably am on Instagram more than anything, so if you need to get a hold of me somehow, you can do that through Instagram. I also do have a YouTube channel, Movie Men, which is actually, it's just these podcast episodes uploaded to YouTube. So if you ever run across Being Scared's YouTube as you're checking it out, he's one of my subscribers and I'm one of his, so you can find my channel through that. It's basically the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It's just on a different platform.
Right.
So is there anything else you want to say about Arrival?
No. I think I've said everything I'd like to say. I just look forward to next week's episode. I had a really good time.
I had a great time reviewing Arrival, even though it wasn't my favorite movie, and I was a little let down. Still a good time, man. So have a good week, everybody.